well, let's not start from Edwin or something. You just say a name of one person you have in this. Only a name and where which country is coming from, and perhaps if you know the organization is working with. Just the name, the country where that person is, and where the person is coming from. Then, when I say when that name is mentioned, the next person should be able to say the name of a next person until we are all done, because we are the same people who have been in this field for, we know each other. So let's check whether we still remember each other online.
Okay, let me start then. Let me start.
Yes.
My name is Andre. I work at FFS as a ICT and knowledge management specialist. I'm based in Madagascar, and I'm actually recording everything we are doing in this webinar, including projecting what you see on the screen now. Well, someone I know in this network very well is someone called Max Olupot. So over to him.
Okay, thank you, Andre. Members, my name is Max Olupot. I work for FFS as a partnership planning and learning for specialist. But most importantly, also, I am currently the coordinator of the East African Regional Hub, which is hosted at the FFS Secretariat. In this platform, I know my blood brother called Ori. Ori works in the FAO office in Addis Ababa.
Yeah, thanks, Max. My name is Ori Pratt. I'm an agriculture officer at FAO, the sub-regional office in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia. I work on all different aspects of agriculture extension. A lot of you know me with work with AFAS or the institutionalization with the universities, or the monitoring and evaluation framework that we're working on. So yeah, I would be very sad if I did not send to my best brother in Kenya, who I love dearly, Mutungi Paul. Go ahead.
Thank you very much, Ori. To all the other participants, good morning. My name is Paul Mutungi. I work for the FAO here, the resilience team for Eastern Africa, and I basically work as a farmer field school support officer, working with people in Rwanda, those ones in Ethiopia, in Uganda, and countries within the East Africa region. So I also want to invite my brother who had just sent a message. It's a long time since I saw him, Joseph Higiro from RAB. Please, Joseph.
Thank you very much, Mr. Paul. I'm Joseph Higiro. I work for Rwanda crop protection program at the FFS activities at the country level. Thank you. And I invite Edwin.
Wow, thank you so
Edwin.
much.
Yeah.
Joseph Ijiro from RAB. My name is Edwin Adenya, and good morning to everyone all. I work for the Field School Hub Secretariat in charge of knowledge management, and I will use this opportunity to invite my colleague, Maurice Egesa. Maurice, over to you.
Yes, good morning, everyone. My name is Maurice Egesa. I work with FFS as a program support volunteer, and I'm happy to be in this engagement. Thank you.
Maurice, give us one person you know whose name has not been mentioned in this platform.
I'm sorry, my network was off. So again, I logged in, so I don't know who has come.
No, no. You can say anybody you know, at least. Apart from Andre and myself.
And Edwin.
And Edwin.
Now, the other person, of course, I knew is Higiro, but he has introduced himself. So it is difficult.
Oh, okay, I
Yes,
think
please.
you know Peter Kefas at least.
Peter Kefas, that name is very familiar, but we have not met physically.
Okay, meeting online.
Yes,
so
please.
Peter, over to you. Peter? Okay, let's go to, Peter seems to have some issue with the network. Let's go to Pauline.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Adete Pauline, working for FAO Somalia, supporting emergency-related activities, and in particular in the field of agriculture.
And you forgot to mention you're my village mate.
I didn't know I have a village mate on this platform. Interesting. I think I saw Ezana.
Okay, but he's on the hub.
Yes. That's the only other person I know seems to have disappeared. Okay. He seems to have disappeared.
I think it's network.
Eunice is there?
Yes, I am there.
Okay, go ahead.
Yes, thank you very much. I'm Nasir Daoud Yunus, an extension officer from Kenya. Now, master trainer, FFS master trainer. Now supporting NARIC projects in Istanbul. Thank you.
I think that is, Edwin, I think that is for now. The team other people are likely to join. And since this is also an introductory Zoom, we basically wanted to introduce ourselves and reorganize ourselves again. Then now back to you, Edwin.
Well, thank you, everyone. I don't know whether we need to reemphasize on the ground rules, Andre.
Yes, yeah, maybe just a quick reminder. So when you don't speak, it's better to put your audio off so that we don't hear background sound. So only the speakers put the audio on. Same thing for the video. In this meeting, I don't think we'll need video. We will just present the presentations, but no one will appear on video. Maybe at the end, just to have a picture of the screen where everybody will be there. We can put video on and I will capture that screen. But during all the session, it's not necessary to have you on video. It saves a lot of bandwidth, by the way. If you want to raise a question or a remark, just send it on the conversation box, on the chat box. You can raise also your hand. Just click on the raise hand and the speaker should just from time to time check if there's something, if people are raising hand. Yeah, you can ask your questions, of course, on the conversation box and send your remarks, because everything in that conversation box will be shared to you after. I'm also recording everything, so this webinar session will be sent back to you in a video format later. I think that's all. Be concise and brief when you talk, because 1 hour is very short. And yeah, enjoy this webinar. Thank you.
Thank you, Andre. For participants, we will be having regular 1 hour webinar sessions from 10 to 11. Please appropriate this on Wednesday, appropriate this hour. And then we will be having a series of webinar topics. Most of them will be suggested by you and others from the hub when we think it is absolutely necessary. However, just like the FFS principles, this should be demand driven. And then we will be having mostly a presentation, the first 15 or 20 minutes, then question and answer, then AOB. So I don't have much to say rather than just welcome Max to give us now the actual presentation and the way forward. Thanks, Max.
Hey, are you already seeing my screen? Hello? Hello?
Your screen is back.
Okay. I was asking the moderator team and they are not hearing me, so I was worried. So anyway, like Edwin has said, we welcome you, our dear colleagues in the field school fraternity. The purpose that we wanted to start these webinars is one is that we need to again come together. And now that there are a lot of things happening, but we may not be able to travel, we cannot go and visit Higiro, but we can always update ourselves online. And that is the purpose of the East African Field School Hub. And we would like to be always in touch with you. So for all of us, I think we are not going to take long. I think I should be able to be done by 5 minutes, since I'm talking to people who are already very familiar, extra familiar with the hub and also the field school generally. So, but I will also be conscious that since Maurice, I think I can't even move my, why? Okay. So since Maurice is there, for the rest of us, we know the transition, the evolution that has happened in the field school. But for only a few people who are like learning a little bit of field school, we shall be telling them always about this evolution in the subsequent presentations, where we started the field schools more focused to IPM of Rise in Asia to now, where we have lots of variations in the field schools and adaptation that has taken place, and we continue to evolve. Remember, right now we are discussing about digitalization of the field schools, and that is a new thing. So this is one of the slides that we shall always keep providing to our communities and updating for them to understand the evolution of the field school. Also, most importantly, to people in this platform, the types of Paul, Ori, they understand how they contributed to the field school guidance document, which is very important for the field school fraternity. And we always encourage people to get soft copies of this, especially the beginner, not really beginners, but all of us as a field school kind of a reference book, not really a Bible, but a reference document, which is critical for our operations. Now, I have already mentioned about the field school adaptation and how it has been changing based on context and also situations. But increasingly, due to all these changes, there's been an issue of the quality control in the field school. And that is also the genesis of our current discussions to ensure that they are core principles, they are core elements in the field schools. How do we make sure that these core principles are not compromised? Although we do the adaptation, we can do everything else, but what the uncompromisable principles in the field school remain to be our core role to support the people who will design the field school projects, the people who will be implementing field schools in different contexts, but also the emergence of the regional knowledge networks and a need for institutionalization of all this learning. So also, again, the regional networking is the role that the field school will play. The hub, which is currently very important. But I want to mention this as an appreciation to FAO, as we all know that the field schools have been mainly championed by FAO. And through a project which was funded by SDC, I used to sit in that project steering committee. With the discussions with Deborah and other committee members, there was needed to, of course, with Edwin and everybody, to have a hub, but also to ensure that this hub is not in the hands, very tied to FAO, but to an independent body of similar objectives to nurture, to nurse, and to hatch this hub to be an independent body. So this hub was started by FAO in 2016. It had a lot of discussion, stakeholder engagement, both in Entebbe and also Kigali. And we all agree that we need the East African Field School Hub. And the hub then was transitioned to African Forum for Agriculture Advisory Services, AFAS. So AFAS then took the role to host this hub, and the launch of this hub was done in 2018 in Entebbe, and we're privileged to have the director of extension and the directors of extension in the region, especially from Burundi, we had from Sudan and others. So this was an important milestone in the life of the East Africa Field School Hub. Now, the field school has now got its strategy, and we have the mandate, we have the vision, we have the mission. All these now are in operational. And again, I want to emphasize the issue of the mission about the quality of field school implementation. Whether anybody will say I'm doing the field school, that's fine, but we would like to see what is the quality. And that is where we would want to have a lot of support from the stakeholders so that we collaborate and ensure that we do quality assurance. The field school is provides strategic guidance and leadership in the field school approach. It also facilitates the knowledge generation and sharing. And we are looking forward to policy dialogues and advocacy in terms of the delivery approaches and delivery ways, and also facilitate skills and competence development. And this we work with the universities through accreditation processes and other institutions. Then ensuring, of course, the approach maximizes on the achievement of food and nutrition security, which is a core thing in any extension approach, that whatever effort you do, you have to help the farmers, but also incomes and all these sustainability issues. But also, the other issue is the hub will foster partnerships, because we need to see the public and private sector engaged in terms of the provision of extension services. Just an example of how the field school has been evolving, including issues of farmer business schools, agribusiness, and how people can work with this kind of approach in different contexts, including looking at the value chains, crops and soils, farming as a business, farm management, post-harvest management, marketing strategies, pulling together and building networks and social capital. And you know, field schools are very, very important in terms of social capital development and ensuring networking And this has been proven, and this continuity is still on, and you will find that people who have been in the field schools are more networked, both in their localities, but also outside their localities. So that is how it is. I also want to mention that the field school has been, the hub has been very influential, not only just internally with our own teams, but we've also started engaging with the managers of extension and other managers. We had this kind of training with Andres in Durban, and we're supported by the Koreans. And this was one of the best experience that we had. And I think going forward is also now the new initiatives that we're talking about in terms of designing new projects, also designing new curricula, and in the era of digitalization, then the capacity of the managers, the directors of extension, and those who manage these projects will be paramount for us to support. Ori, this is very important for us to mention that FAO is leading the MEL Framework. A lot of work has been already done. This is the old version a bit that I have, but Ori and team are leading this, and we are very happy that we're fully engaged in this process to develop a monitoring and evaluation learning framework for the field schools, which actually will be very also useful for other extension approaches. So the hub has the social media, which I'll leave Edwin later on to talk about, the social media tools, which we already have in place. But I want just to end up by saying the hub is growing. The hub for a mini time will continue being hosted under FFS, continued under the current arrangement. But also we are happy that we're implementing the LOA, which is funded by FAO HQ. And this LOA is enabling to strengthen the hub. And that is where my part of my time and Edwin and a few other colleagues are supported for us to make the hub vibrant and be able to register it as a legal entity in Uganda. But also we are working very hard to put the governance structure of the hub. And one important thing that we are doing is the mobilization of the field school fraternity. And I think this is a milestone for all of us to do this together. We would like to encourage each focal point person, both from FAO, country offices, the national governments, the country fora, to mobilize the field school fraternity and also our well-wishers so that we rebuild our network in the region. I have already been called by West Africa to see how if they can tap into this experience. So we should work very hard to show that case in. So we also have the strategic plan. Our strategy is on, and most important now is for us to continue doing resource mobilization and support and contribute to investment programs. There are investment programs which are funded by World Bank and IFAD, and some of them have limited experience or knowledge in terms of the field school, but they want to use them. So it is again us to support these projects, either during the design or implementation. And by doing that, we will be contributing to the issues of effective and quality implementation of projects using the field school hub. We also continue to do partnerships with a number of organizations. We definitely will continue to contribute into the MEL framework, but also starting our own documentation. We have somebody at the hub who is doing the documentation. So that is what I wanted to quickly run through, knowing that you're already familiar with the hub. So thank you very much.
Well, thank you, Max, for that presentation. For members, I'll encourage you, if you have anything you want to raise up, maybe you can, let's follow the rules. There's a way of raising your hand in the participants list. When you click on the participants list, down below there, there's something called raise your hand. Can you see it? If you can see it, then you can please go ahead, raise your hand, and let us have your views on this for the next 10 minutes, then I'll proceed on the way forward. Over to you, Andre, for the moderation.
Yes. So, is there someone who wants to ask some questions, clarification, or some remarks, additional information? Okay, Peter has one question, but he also mentioned before that he has some audio problems. So maybe you can write, or just maybe you can just try to speak also, and we see if we can hear you. Peter? I don't think we can hear you, Peter. Your mic is on, but we don't hear anything, so there might be something wrong. Yes, please write. In the meantime, is there something else? Someone else who want to ask? Yes, Pauline, you raised your hand.
I'm looking at examples of FS and agribusiness, and I'm wondering whether we can slot in something to do with integrating indigenous knowledge and scientific knowledge, so that we not only look at the emerging technology, but we also look at indigenous knowledge contributing to food security.
Thank you, Pauline. Well, your question is noted. I think that is a very open question, I'm sure. So anybody will answer, but Edwin and Max are taking note of that. Or you also have some recommendation, very concrete recommendation in that regards. Now, Peter's question is, question one, how are we going to integrate COVID-19 in the framework? And it's addressed to Max. That is the question one. There will be other questions. So maybe in the meantime, we can start answering Pauline's questions or suggestion, and also answer Peter's question one.
Okay.
Max, Edwin, yeah.
Okay, I think let me go straight to Peter's question, which is much straightforward because we are living now in that environment. As we all know, the way field schools are supposed to be implemented or is about more face-to-face. You know, you have to be together. You have to do ISA together. You have to go and analyze, and all these needs mean you are working together in the same field, and you go and sit under the same shade. That contradicts the issue of social distancing now and all that. But we've got some few examples of how few people right now are managing to implement field schools, even in the field, but they are ensuring social distancing, hand washing, and some of them even try to do the masks, but they go and learn and do that. The other part which is coming now, FAO headquarters is formulating a field guide which is talking about facilitating field schools in the era of COVID. When you have COVID now, how do you facilitate? So I hope that guide will soon be out, and we could share with all of us again to make. We could actually, myself and Ori, maybe we shall try to, and others, invite HQ, FAO Rome headquarters to present something related to that in the subsequent web Zoom. Yes, Ori has something to add.
Yeah, I was just going to say that, thanks, Max. The guide is going to be quite in depth of all of the different aspects of coronavirus, proper hand hygiene, donning and doffing masks, cleaning, how does the virus actually spread? The thing we've seen is there's actually been, a lot of misinformation. We're in this new era of my president's fake news. So we have to be very careful about that. There's a lot of spread of misinformation. So we have to be very concise. So we've only been gathering information from WHO and some background stuff from the American CDC on drafting this guidance. There are also a lot of informational posters that are being produced from the FAO office in Angola. They were sent to headquarters to be translated into all of the different languages. So English and French, especially for Africa, they're going to be hopefully released soon. And we'll make sure that we get those shared digitally, at least, to you on the platform. So back to you, thanks.
Yes, Max, if I could comment slightly on that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think this is very interesting, especially the implementation of field schools in this COVID-19 era. And I know there are a lot of methods that are planned to be applied, including the guidance document that you've just talked about. But I just wanted to talk slightly about, when the COVID came, and as you know, in many countries, it's like agricultural activities were shut, the marketing and everything was like shut. And yet, countries require to have food, otherwise people can die. So one of the things I wanted to just mention is that in as much as we have these guidelines coming, there is need for the collaboration between the ministries that are involved in field implementation to make sure that these guidelines are accepted for implementation. Because you realize, like, for an example, if I may give the place like Kenya, it was like no movement, no anything. Even right now, some of the field schools that were supposed to be implemented under certain projects have like stopped because the administration is so fierce on the field. They don't want to see people gathered and moving around. So there will be that need to collaborate with the relevant stakeholders and explain to them the importance of, food production. Otherwise, we will ground to a halt. So basically, that was my contribution.
Yeah, good, great.
Okay, thank you. Allow me also to have a moment of this discussion on COVID. Maybe for Ori Pratt and the rest of the team in FAO, maybe I don't know how we are going to operate because, but personally I've been receiving copies of drafts of these COVID-19 regulations and guidelines, but I cannot share them to the rest of the group. I don't know how this one can be done. Could we, the Field School Hub, be considered as an important stakeholder base for FAO, so that when some of these documents are circulating, we can also share it amongst ourselves for comments? I don't know whether this is in order. And then after that, I'll also come back to Pauline's request. Ori.
Yeah, that's a good question. Well, I think the straightforward answer is you will remember, some of the operating modalities of FAO, and so that can be a challenge. But of course, we're very much willing to. I'm very much willing to speak with the team in HQ and provide that suggestion. I know that, for example, the IPPC, they have some sort of modality where they have a web page and they upload the documents and they give deadlines. They say, okay, today's the 13th. You have until the 20th to provide your comments on the documents. So maybe there's a modality that way of putting these sort of things on the platform and receiving comments. But you know, there's a very wide base of FFS experts around the world, so that could be challenging. And there's also some sort of, you know, issue of, well, people may take this advanced information out in the field and start sharing it as kind of the you know, the verbatim stuff of what the final will be, even though there may be significant changes. This is a big problem now with coronavirus, as we get new information every single day. The WHO goes back and forth on using masks and whatnot. So that has certainly been a challenge for us. But the main point is, yeah, I'm certainly willing to speak with HQ and see what we can do in sharing more and getting stakeholder input before we finalize the documents. Thanks.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes.
Maybe there's one question. The second question is from Peter. Actually, it's not
I think,
really a question.
Andre,
Yeah.
Andre, there was a question from Pauline about the scientific and the indigenous knowledge, which is a very relevant question. And indeed, when you look at the way the field school operates, it actually does this. That's where the farmers themselves first use the knowledge they have, but then because of the facilitation role that the facilitators do, we bring in for scientific, and where we are not able to conclude, we do referrals. I think that is a good way of integrating the indigenous knowledge and scientific knowledge. So as a farmer-driven learning process, I think the indigenous knowledge becomes very critical in the field school operations. A question from Peter, yes, investment projects from World Bank, they've been doing this, and this is a government-driven thing. But what we're saying now, there are some of these that are asking for guidance in terms of how they implement their projects using the field school. Maybe they've even done the design, but how do they do the training? How do they do all these things? That's where we're saying, this is where we need to engage with them so that we can be able to guide implementation and ensure quality implementation in terms of the field school principles.
Well, thank you, Max. Just to add to what you've said on agribusiness, I wanted maybe to bring to the attention of all the participants that we have two guides. There's a very good guide on post-harvest management from Ethiopia. And there was a study that was commissioned by IRR and I think FAO called Moving the Herds, which are typical for livestock market systems where Pauline is operating from. These are the things that we really need now to integrate in the new COVID guide for farmer field schools. At the same time, there is need for us to revitalize the farmer networks so that the farmer remains with the typical role of production. Marketing, value addition, we need to have other players in between so as to spread the risk. But that one is subject to discussion. And also, Pauline, if you have ideas, we will willingly be ready to bring them on board for discussion on our social media platforms or even on a dedicated webinar for such a topic. Yeah, over to you. And then there is our colleague from our colleague who can also talk about the experience in the World Bank, Al-Nasir. Al-Nasir is implementing the NARIGIP project. They can also give us some insights on how they're integrating FFS and any challenges they're having at the moment. Over to you.
I think there's no more question there. Is there another presentation from Edwin?
Well,
I think
I don't. Hello?
Edwin, go ahead.
Max?
Go on.
Okay, we don't have any other presentation today, but it was to spell out the roadmap and how we are going to proceed. in Mark's presentation, there's a mention of the social media platforms that we are engaging in at the moment. We have Facebook, and the most vibrant is the WhatsApp group. So if you would like to be added onto the WhatsApp group, I've seen a number of people are not on it. Kindly let me know. I'll put my WhatsApp number there that you'll send me your contact. I'll add you to the WhatsApp group. And we also have other discussions on LinkedIn. We have discussions on Twitter, but these are supposed to guide us throughout the week. But we will be having structured webinar discussions, probably advertised or awareness created at least 3 or 1 week, 7 days before the next webinar, so that people can prepare adequately, write down questions, even have case studies. And finally, we also have the web portal, which is currently being redesigned because we wanted it to be a one-stop center for anything on field schools, be it publications, be it videos, be it a nice field pictures, human case studies, or human interest stories. We will want to have it on that one platform. And then we also want to have all of us registering on that platform as professionals on field schools. And then from this, we should be able to, when need basis, now because of now COVID and the travel restrictions, if we wanted somebody to go to Samburu right now, we will want to see who is around Samburu to go and support the field schools in Samburu. So it will be good for us to register on that web portal. And I believe before the end of this week, it will be up and running, and we'll have a self-registration link. However, this one also does not dissociate us from the global field school platform that is being managed by FAO. We will also encourage the members to visit it occasionally to see what is happening in the other regions. What we are having now is only dedicated for the 11 countries in Eastern Africa. So that's what I just wanted to share. But I see my colleague Skula is online, and you can also want to give this chance for some introduction.
Yeah, good, excellent. Yeah. The team is quiet.
Yes, can I talk something, Max?
Yes.
Yeah, 2 issues here. First of all, I can see Peter from KEFAS had asked a question on how the KEFAS could be involved in the current World Bank projects, especially the ones in Kenya. And maybe you may not be in a position to give him an answer at the moment, but I would want to just chip in and assist. And I would like to ask KEFAS that once everything stabilizes, he can get in touch with me so that I can be able to introduce him to the coordinators of the 2 projects. There are 2 projects going on in Kenya. One is called Narigip, and the other one I think is KSAPKRAL. So please, Peter, do get in touch with me, then I can introduce you to those people so that they can understand the role of KEFAS, and so that even when they are having some of their meetings, they can be able to include you.
Yeah.
Then the second thing is just to, I was trying to look at the hub, and especially with relation to the institutionalization process in the institutions of higher learning. And I think the hub will play a very, very important role. I think you must have mentioned, when you mentioned the issue of quality control, basically the institutionalization process, especially in institutions of higher learning, was basically part of the quality control process. And I would like just to mention that this should also be strengthened and given as key space so that there is mutual interaction between the institutions of higher learning and the farmer field schools, so that the hub can also give these institutions quite a lot of guidance, because we noticed, like recently, we've done it with one university in Kenya, but we still realize that there are still a lot of hitches here and there, especially when it comes to the training process. You know, our colleagues, the way they train is very differently. So there is need to keep them engaged so that they also know how to train in the field school way with time. Not that they are bad trainers, but just to put them in the line and to make them very much used. So I call for that much more engagement with the institutions of higher learning.
Excellent. Excellent. Very good. Andre, how much time do we have?
There are two people I needed you to introduce, please. There's Hamisi and there's Dr. Karo Jeda. I don't know if they can give them a minute each. Hamisi
Yes,
Dula.
yes,
Please.
Definitely.
Go on, please.
Hello?
Yes, we can hear you.
Can you hear me? Yes. Now, my name is Kuala Esn because I am doing a different job than the one I was doing in FAO. But I join you just to say hello to people I know, and I have seen Edwin and Dula now, who just and tell you that you have to continue this way, because this is the future of Africa. And in particular now with the COVID-19, you need to introduce all the topics that are related to the impact of these epidemics on agriculture. The way we did with the farmer field and life schools. Because those kind of epidemics will continue to hit Africa. Hello, Edwin.
Yes, yes, we can hear you, Dr. Jeda.
Maybe I put the video on then. Hello. You see, I'm not anymore in the field, but I am in with books now. So I hope that you will go ahead in that way. This is why I join you. And I didn't know exactly what was the topic